try.
What the fuck is that? It's the girl. This is bracelets. We don't have the time for that. We can do it tonight.
Can you just open it?
No, because you can have that shit everywhere.
No, I won't. Open it. Give me it.
I'm not
Open
opening
it.
I'm not
And
opening
I'll
it.
open it.
Go ahead, try.
I can't.
Get out of my room with it.
Riley, not right now, baby.
No,
I'm opening it.
I done told her no.
What? We're going to.
Riley, you're not
Don't start, bro.
Girl, I will smack this motherfucker upside your
Give
head.
me.
We're
I'll
going
take
to
it back.
Monster Jam.
Give me it.
Get out of my room.
Give me
Touch
it.
me again.
Mommy, touch me again. Like that.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're so nice. I'm like your motherfucking sister. Mom is like you kid.
KETO has once again pulled the curtain back on a deeply troubling reality, this time shining a harsh light on a TikTok mother whose live-streamed behavior has triggered widespread outrage and a response from Child Protective Services. Megan Grower, a content creator and mother of 2 from Cornerville, Tennessee, is now at the center of an online storm after a TikTok live revealed an unsettling glimpse into her parenting, one that many viewers described as emotionally abusive and alarmingly normalized. The live started off like many of Megan's previous streams. She was seated comfortably in what appeared to be her usual setup, casually scrolling through the chat, responding to comments and engaging with her followers. There was nothing out of the ordinary at first glance, just another mother sharing a slice of her day online. But the atmosphere changed abruptly when her young daughter approached her, holding a small container filled with colorful bracelets. The child's body language was innocent and hopeful. She simply wanted her mother's help to open the container so she could play. It was a sweet, harmless request, the kind of everyday moment that usually passes without a second thought. But Megan's response was jarring. She didn't even look up from her phone. Without any eye contact, physical acknowledgement, or trace of warmth, she said coldly, "We'll open them tomorrow." Her tone wasn't just dismissive, it was detached, almost mechanical.
Across this video, and I don't know much about this mom, but I know that TikTok is not agreeing with her. Rightfully so, because what is this parenting? Her name is Megan Gower, but from this video, I can collect that she's a very abusive mom. There's also a clip somewhere of her yelling F you to her daughter, and her daughter, I'm guessing, is around 6, and it sounds like no parenting is being done at all. Just expecting the 6-year-old to regulate her emotions, know how to act as a person. It's a literal child. She's supposed to be the role model for this little girl. No wonder this little girl lashes out. It's like a normal child thing to do, to feel frustrated and not know what to do. That's where parenting comes in. And by screaming at her to stop is not gonna help. I don't know why people have children if they don't like children. If you don't like your own child, that's your fault. Also, she feels so comfortable yelling at her on live. Imagine when she's like behind doors. Like, this is dangerous.
As if she were brushing off an annoying notification rather than addressing her child. The girl stood there for a moment, likely confused and unsure how to react, then gently asked again. That second request was met not with compassion, but with hostility. Suddenly, Megan snapped. Her tone shifted from indifferent to aggressive. She raised her voice not in a moment of overwhelmed parenting or discipline, but with pointed anger. She chastised the little girl loudly, right there on the live stream. Then, without hesitation, she escalated even further by threatening to hit her. The entire exchange played out in front of an audience of strangers, live and unfiltered. There was no effort to soften her voice, no pause to reflect, no concern for how it might look or sound. And perhaps most disturbing of all was the fact that she didn't seem to recognize the seriousness of what she was doing. She continued the live as though nothing was wrong. In the background, Megan's partner was clearly visible, sitting just a few steps away. But instead of stepping in or expressing concern, he sat quietly, watching everything unfold. His silence only added to the discomfort viewers felt. It was as if this dynamic, the cold rejection, the raised voice, the threat was something that had played out many times before. He didn't react because, for him, it may have been routine. As the stream continued, the chat began to fill with stunned reactions. People watching were horrified, calling out the behavior and urging Megan to stop, but none of it seemed to faze her. She didn't readjust her tone or acknowledge the growing alarm in the comments. She kept streaming. To her, it seemed like just another moment in her day, but to everyone watching, it was a heartbreaking look into a household where affection and patience appeared selective and emotional harm went unchecked. Then came the moment that turned an already upsetting scene into something far more damaging. After scolding her daughter and threatening her, Megan's son walked into the room.
This just made me so fucking sick to my stomach to watch. I am not a perfect parent. I will never claim to be. There's no perfect parents, but there's a fucking difference between not being a perfect parent and being fucking abusive. I pray to God that someone called CPS because those kids need out of her fucking care, because that is hands down fucking abuse. And then I saw that she's live again on TikTok, and it must only be for like subscribers or whatever, and it was like something, you're here, you're a fan. No one's a fucking fan. No one is a fucking fan of someone who treats their kids that way. I could fucking never. Came out to my car because I knew I would get freaking heated. I don't even like my kids to hear me cuss, let alone cuss at them. But I pray to fucking God that someone calls CPS because she does not deserve to be a fucking mother. Also, if you're someone that follows her, fucking unfollow her because she does not deserve to have a platform. And if you support how she talked to that poor girl, you're just
Instantly, her demeanor shifted. Her voice softened. Her face relaxed. She greeted him warmly, smiled, and helped him right away with whatever he needed. The tension in her body seemed to dissolve as she shifted from hostile to nurturing in seconds. The contrast was so sharp, it almost didn't feel real. But it didn't stop there. In a chilling moment of favoritism, Megan looked at both of her children and made a direct comparison. With a smirk and a condescending tone, she said something to the effect of, "See, he listens. He's not like her." That single sentence carried a weight that viewers felt instantly. It wasn't a careless comment, it was a clear declaration of preference. In that moment, she didn't just show favoritism. She humiliated her daughter and set her son up as the better child, all while broadcasting it to hundreds, possibly thousands of viewers. What makes such comparisons so damaging is that they don't just affect the child being criticized, they also burden the favored child. They create a deep emotional wedge between siblings, breeding resentment, confusion, and guilt. The daughter, already shaken from being yelled at and threatened, now had to watch her brother be praised for doing something just as simple, and listen as her own mother used him to point out her supposed flaws. The message was painfully clear: she wasn't enough. She was a problem. And her mother was willing to say it to her face, in front of both her sibling and the internet. Megan's reaction to all of this, or rather, her lack of one, made everything worse. She carried on with her life as though the incident meant nothing. No remorse, no realization, no acknowledgement of the emotional harm she'd just inflicted. Her behavior seemed so normalized, so deeply ingrained, that it left many wondering just how often her children are treated this way when there's no audience to witness it. The backlash was swift. Clips of the stream began circulating across TikTok and other platforms, and outraged users began tagging authorities and raising alarms. In response to the growing concern, Child Protective Services was reportedly contacted and has now gotten involved. Given what was shown on camera, many feel this step was not only necessary, it was overdue. It was disturbing enough to witness through a screen, let alone imagine what it must be like to experience firsthand. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Megan Grower took things even further. As her TikTok live continued and more people tuned in, the comments section became flooded with concerned messages. These weren't your typical hate comments or cancel culture attacks. These were genuine, emotional pleas from viewers who were horrified by what they were watching.
Pick up Jenny. Well, I don't want to talk to you right now. Woo! No patience is thin. Hey, I talk about it all the time. Go ahead. Run if you want to. Run away. Pack a bag. I'll help you. I'll help you. Where you gonna go? It's your bio? Yeah. Sadly. Not sadly. So what the fuck are you talking about? Because I can, because I want to. If you have a problem with that, see yourself out. I'm not misery. I'm gonna crush my dog. I'm probably gonna get banana. Why are you talking to your kids like that? You ain't heard nothing yet, baby. This is chaos already. They're gonna piss me off. Come here. Your bio? Yeah. Sadly.
People were begging her to stop, asking her to see how wrong her behavior was and urging her to reflect on how she was treating her daughter. But Megan didn't even flinch. There was no moment of reflection, no trace of embarrassment. She stared straight into the camera, her face unreadable, and calmly said that what the audience had just seen was completely normal, that this was how she always talks to her daughter. If anyone had a problem with it, she said, they could simply log off. Her response wasn't just dismissive, it was defiant. She didn't show shame, she showed pride, as if daring people to challenge her. There was a cold smile, almost smug, that sent a chill through everyone watching. Instead of recognizing the concern from hundreds of people, Megan waved it off. She laughed at the comments, rolled her eyes, and treated people's horror as if they were overreacting. But there was nothing funny about what viewers had just witnessed. They had just watched a mother humiliate her child, threaten her, and then boast about it as if it were just part of her routine. It was one of the most uncomfortable parts of the stream, not just what she did, but how unbothered she was about it. Then came the comment that shifted everything even further. A viewer asked, "Is that even your biological daughter?" A lot of people had probably been wondering the same thing, given the stark contrast in how she treated her son versus her daughter. Megan answered calmly with a yes. But then, almost like it slipped out without thought, she added, sadly. That one word hit like a punch to the gut. It wasn't a flippant mistake. It was a raw, revealing moment, one that made the air in the chat feel heavy. In that single word, she exposed something deeply painful. She didn't view her daughter as a gift or someone she was grateful for. She saw her as a burden. And what made it even worse was that Megan didn't walk back the comment. She didn't try to soften it, rephrase it, or even explain it. She moved on with the stream like she hadn't just said something devastating. For everyone watching, it confirmed what they had suspected all along. This wasn't about tough love or parental discipline. This was a mother projecting open resentment toward her own child, without a shred of remorse. As the live went on, the disturbing dynamics became even clearer. At one point, Megan began doing her daughter's hair not with gentle hands or care, but with rough, hurried yanks that made the little girl cry out in pain. The child's voice trembled as she begged her mom to stop, clearly in distress. But Megan didn't slow down. She didn't ask if she was okay. She just kept going, muttering under her breath in frustration, treating her daughter like an inconvenience. But just moments later, her tone changed, not for her daughter, but for her son. When she spoke to him, her voice softened again. She was gentle, patient, affectionate. It felt like watching two completely different people. One who was nurturing and sweet, and another who was cold and angry. The contrast was hard to ignore. It wasn't just about having a favorite child, it was about showing cruelty to one while showing love to the other. Then things took another dark turn. At one point, Megan refused to give her daughter clothes. The little girl was left half-dressed and screaming inside a closet, crying and begging for her clothes. Megan ignored her completely, leaving the door closed as the girl's cries grew louder. Finally, her partner, silent until now, asked what was going on. Why was their daughter screaming? Megan didn't explain. She didn't show concern.
Well, you can be any close. Says Daddy won't.
Come here, let me see you. My handsome boy, he's so cute. I got her some of those little, those little things that like rip the little, they cut the little hair cells. But I forget about all the fucking time, so I have to be prepared. Sometimes it. Be still!
Why does it look like that?
That's what it looks like.
They're gonna have more hair than you.
Literal brothers fuck.
She simply said, "I'm not fighting with her," in a cold, detached tone that made it clear she had emotionally checked out. It wasn't said like someone trying to de-escalate the situation. It was a dismissal, a way of saying, she doesn't matter. The entire live stream was a heartbreaking look into what many believe is a long-standing pattern of emotional neglect and favoritism. And the scariest part, Megan did all of this in front of an audience. No shame, no fear of judgment, just business as usual. The following day, she posted an apology video. She claimed she wanted to take accountability. She admitted that yelling at her daughter was wrong and explained that she had been healing from dark experiences over the past 2 years. She said she was overstimulated, not a perfect mother, and that she'd apologized to her daughter off camera. She announced she would be taking a break from TikTok and insisted that the people who truly know her understand how much she loves her children. But here's the thing, everyone saw how she treated her daughter. They saw the favoritism, the anger, the emotional detachment. They heard the threats and the cold words. They saw how easily she justified her cruelty while framing herself as the one who needed healing, while ignoring the harm she inflicted on a child who clearly needed comfort and protection. Megan's apology felt less like a moment of reflection and more like damage control. Because what viewers witnessed wasn't a slip-up or a bad day, it was a deeply embedded pattern, one that she displayed openly, without a second thought. Hassan, let's be real, what we saw wasn't someone overwhelmed. That wasn't a slip. That was built-up resentment, and somewhere inside, Megan knows it too. She tried brushing it off by claiming the video didn't capture her cooling down, but honestly, that didn't matter. The harm was already done. Her daughter stood there, publicly embarrassed, emotionally shut out, all while thousands of people watched it unfold like some twisted show. And then, just like that, Megan vanished. One by one, her online presence disappeared. TikTok gone, Instagram wiped, backup accounts also deleted. It was as if she tried to scrub herself from the internet completely. But the thing is, once something like this goes live, there's no deleting it from people's minds.
Somebody something will come up with
No.
I don't give a fuck about what. I don't give a fuck about what. So many person interesting.
That's hurting me.
What is that gonna do? I didn't say I was 60, right? Pick your head.
Ow!
Get off the seat. Oh my god! You're not
Stop
going.
pulling me.
I will yank you bald headed.
Are you save her anyway?
I'm about to. She
But
don't have no
she
fun
won't.
there. Turn your head.
Okay, she's lying.
You're literally making shit fucking complicated for no fucking reason.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're deliberately doing shit.
Clips had already been saved, reposted, and analyzed across every corner of social media. What started as shock quickly turned into collective outrage. Viewers weren't just angry, they were taking action. People started sharing Megan's location, collecting screen recordings, tagging authorities, and with the overwhelming amount of footage showing threats, clear emotional neglect, favoritism, and that cold, dismissive attitude, how could CPS not get involved? There's been no official word yet on what steps child services have taken, but based on what we all saw, it's hard to imagine they didn't open a case. That live stream wasn't a meltdown, it was a look into what's possibly an ongoing situation in that household. A child emotionally starved in full view of the public, with no adult stepping in to stop it. Hopefully now, those kids are in a space where they're treated with care and respect. And maybe Megan is finally getting help for whatever she's holding on to, because it was obvious she's carrying pain that's spilling over into her parenting. But the truth is, kids shouldn't be collateral damage for the things their parents haven't healed from. Being a parent doesn't mean being perfect, it means being responsible enough to recognize your flaws before they become someone else's wounds. What happened on that live stream wasn't a fluke. Megan didn't just lose her temper, she crossed the line repeatedly, and with no remorse. She didn't seem the least bit shaken by the backlash. In fact, she looked like she was daring people to challenge her. That's not frustration, that's pride in mistreatment. That's what makes it dangerous. All her daughter wanted was help with a little bracelet container, something so small, so innocent. And instead, she got emotional rejection, not just in private, but in front of an audience. That little moment exposed a whole pattern, and now we can only hope that someone with real authority stepped in when no one else could. So now we're left asking, was this the breaking point of a mother under too much stress, or the unveiling of something far more toxic? Was this just one bad night, or was it the reality of life in that home, where one child is uplifted and the other constantly torn down? What do you think, babe? Was it just a mistake, or something that's been happening behind closed doors for far too long? If you made it this far, thank you for watching and being part of this conversation. This situation with Megan Grower isn't just about one viral clip, it's about accountability, awareness, and speaking up when something feels wrong. These kids deserve love, safety, and respect, just like every child does. So, what do you think? Was this a cry for help, or a pattern that finally got exposed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more content that dives deeper into the stories behind the headlines. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.